Firstly, thank you very much, Jen, for accepting my invitation and accepting to be on my show.
I'm a little nervous.
So I've gone through your profile. I can see you're doing different works. So I thought to tell about you and the work that you're doing to my audience.
Yeah, I feel like since we first talked, I was solely doing Teach Gen Tech and live learning with like my own way of breaking into tech. And now I am a full-time developer advocate while still doing that Teach Gen Tech and working on breaking the stigma and opening up more conversations about mental health and neurodiversity and working on bringing my podcast Shit You Don't Want to Talk About back.
Okay, so what is your podcast is about? Before talking about it, can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Yeah. To answer the first question, the podcast is about mental health. Um, the live streaming is about learning live and learning how to code and those type of things. Um, so let me rewind myself. Uh, hello, beautiful humans. My name is Jenn Junod. I am the host of a podcast called Shit You Don't Want to Talk About, a live learner. Ooh, I like that name. Of a stream that's on Twitch as well as YouTube called Teach Gen Tech, where I learn how to code, as well as I am a developer advocate over at Aliven, and they are a data infrastructure company. And while doing all of that, I am currently living in Colorado in the US.
So, what made you to start this podcast?
The podcast, and it's the one that's been on the back burner, which is kind of rough because it's what I'm most passionate about. The podcast itself is called Shit You Don't Want to Talk About, and it talks about really difficult conversations that people are afraid to have. I like to say that it's like saying there's a term that some people use called bus checked, meaning that they throw someone else under the bus to get them in trouble. I like to say that I bus check myself, meaning that I will ask the awkward conversations, the awkward questions, try to dig deeper. And a lot of that has to do with my curiosity because I'm always just so curious about everyone. And that started the podcast. And then it also led to starting my live stream called Teach Gen Tech.
And what is your objective for doing this?
For the podcast, so Shit You Don't Want to Talk About, the objective is to I would say they're very similar in both the show and the podcast and the live stream. That's at least how I get them straight in my head, of showing others my own mistakes and being very open about them and asking these questions to show that we're not alone, because that isolation from thinking that we may be alone in wanting to ask a question or not understanding can cause us to have a lack of communication, which causes prevents human connection. And when it comes down to it, my objective in life is creating more connection.
And when you started it, when you started this podcast?
I started the podcast a year after my brain surgery. So I had brain surgery on November 2nd, 2020. And then that actually triggered a lot of long-term trauma because I had the surgery on my right side of my brain, which is where our long-term memories are stored. And doing that caused all of this trauma that I went through as a kid and a young adult to resurface. And so without even planning on it, it launched in November 2021, and the live stream launched in July 2022.
So apart from this, you are a developer advocate. So how is that?
It's fascinating and enjoyable and really hard at the same time. For myself, I am very, very grateful in it brings together all three of my worlds because in I heard, oh gosh, I forgot their name. I heard in a previous episode of yours that they were describing what developer advocate means to them. And I love their explanation. Unfortunately, I completely spaced their name. Um, it is the type of thing that, yes, we work for the engineers and the builders. It's also something where we need to have technical skills while we also have, it's like in my mind, like a mashup of EQ and IQ. So emotional intelligence and intellectual intelligence. And that is something that I am very grateful for because I still get to focus on the newer users because I'm still learning the technical aspect of it. Right now, I'm currently focused on Postgres and learning that live. So it's fun to be able to do that and also do it for work.
And where this understanding for you came from, emotional thing and technical thing.
Say that one more time.
Where this understanding for you came from, is that from incidents that you experienced or from your uh, real experience, this technical and emotional connection?
So to repeat it back to you to make sure I understand, of where did I grow my own intellectual and emotional intelligence, or how did
Yeah,
I work on
yeah.
those? Okay, great, thank you. I would say a lot of it for for the emotional intelligence. That one is a bit deeper on. Um, I'm not, feel free to edit any of this out. So I am a very, very, oh, I hate the term open book. I am very open about my experiences, which is part of what I do in all of the above, part of the emotional intelligence. For myself, I think a lot of it came from the traumatic experiences that I had as a child. I am currently recreating my website, so people can't go check it out at the moment of the details yet. It I went through times of solitary confinement, physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, homelessness, multiple self harms and suicide attempts. That a lot of my first 20 years of life were figuring out how to guess what people wanted. Because if I could guess and morph into what they wanted, then I wouldn't be hurt. Or I wouldn't be hurt as bad, no matter what avenue of those they are. And one thing that happened growing up that I didn't realize is a sign of, especially ADHD in women, is, and it can happen to many, many people, so it's not just specific to women, is with ADHD, I could pick things up very, very easily, yet I never learned how to learn. Like, I was like, if I would pick it up and could put context together, but if I had to learn from a book, it would never happen. I dropped out of high school, which is the degree needed to be able to go on to more of a specialized school like college or university, as it's called in other countries. And it was partially due to how low my GPA was. And I put so much of my worth in thinking that I couldn't do anything in my life. That was what schools were telling me. That was what, those close to me were telling me. Everybody was telling me this. And so that built up a lot of the beginning of emotional intelligence because I had to be able to guess everything, including tests. I literally always guessed tests. I was very bad at tests. Yet when I got married when I was 20 and I was divorced at 22, and that during that time frame, the partner, my ex-husband, that sounds so weird to say because I was young and it was only 2 years. We moved to a new state and I didn't know anybody. So when we got divorced, he moved back to where we were living and I was by myself. It was the first time I wasn't running from anything or to anything. I was just existing. And I made friends with a boss of mine who she was the first person who really told me, Jen, you can do it. You can do it. You can sell. You know how to talk to people. What's the worst thing that will happen if they say no? I don't know. Like, they'll hate me? She's like, they're not going to hate you by telling you no. No has nothing to do with you. Oh. And that was a huge turning point in my life around the age of 22, 23, when I started to realize that what people are going through and their reactions are not about me, which was really difficult to conceptualize. I say all of that because through that journey and many personal development courses. Some worldwide ones are Landmark Forum. There are some called You and Improved or Starting Block that are also great courses. Matthew Hussey, who is a dating coach from the UK, also has a course for women. They all started helping me chunk away and start learning how to go from confident because I was always confident. I could always go talk to anybody, but I never felt like I was worthy. And during that point, and this really started during time of COVID, I started to learn that it was okay to be by myself. Like I found out that I am a hermit. I don't like going and doing things. I like to travel, and when I'm traveling, I'll go do stuff. But when I'm home, I want to be inside my house. So it was those realizations and starting Teach Gen Tech that really made me realize that I can learn and I am smart and I can share this. That is not something that everybody else shares. And for my technical skill set, it's always been a curiosity. And for myself, that's been one of the best ways that I have been able to learn and build up my technical knowledge is because of my EQ, which may sound weird, but I'm actually saying that I don't know. I'm able to have a more open conversation with people, dig deeper about these questions, get really stuck on like setting up Postgres and not realizing that I had to have a server and a client when setting up locally or Docker and still have PG admin. It's all learning and doing it live makes me go, oh, I'm not the only one that has these questions. Yet, because I am okay with randomly reaching out to people or trying to make friends, as I call it, I've had guests on the show that help me understand and can bridge these gaps and build on top of my current knowledge, which I love. And this is a big reason. First off, my apologies for having to postpone on you twice. I'm glad we are finally recording. I I was so excited to do this interview because I I love how you're talking to so many different people in different professions and all over the world. That is one of the things that always caught my curiosity is starting both shows was if we can learn from other people from all over, then and share that knowledge. And I love that you're doing it on this show.
Thank you, Jen. And so, uh, from this long experiences of yours, you have understood so much related to psychological things, and you're interacting with people, and you're trying to know what they are going through and what their mental state is. And technology is something which is logical, and this is what you are doing is something which is emotional. So how these two persons in you?
That is a great question. It's how to say this. Most of what I've learned about myself in the last few years is I always look for patterns. I never realized I consciously look for patterns, but I always look for patterns. And I believe I need to fact check this, but it's actually something that is part of a lot of people that are neurodivergent that may have like ADHD or dyslexia or um, could just be people in general, which is cool. That when you look for patterns, that is a very, very logical part of your brain. And when I first learned that I was dyslexic was years after I tried to take a C++ class. Please know for everybody that may not know that they're dyslexic or try to take a college course, do not pay someone off of Craigslist to finish your homework for you so you pass. I may have done that and asked them to make the mistakes that a newbie would make so it looked like me. Because I didn't know I was dyslexic, I felt very stuck that I could never learn. And when I started trying to code later on in my career, I realized it's all patterns. If you can learn the fundamentals, they're patterns. And that made it a lot easier to be able to see what works and doesn't work and learning the tools. I will say I've started working with Josh Goldberg, who wrote the book Learning TypeScript, which I have right here. And it's really cool because we go through each of the chapters on the stream. And TypeScript is, for those who may be listening, we're going to see if I can explain this well, is a form of JavaScript which has different data types that are called out, but not all computer languages have. So like Python may have types, but trying to remember off the top of my head which ones don't, but there are plenty of them that don't have types. So vanilla JavaScript does not. Um, and it was going through the book and starting to see that there's patterns. And I'm doing a lot of the work because I'm able to figure it out by trying to update a theme for my website. I just don't know necessarily that a function was called a function or what a variable did. I was just able to play around with it enough to make it work. And being able to be very open about, oh, hey, I'm not going to pretend like I know everything because I definitely don't, has allowed the conversation to go, oh, that's what you're trying to say, Jen? Oh, that's a function. Or that's a module. And having a lot of it has been learning it and then fact checking it with those that know more than I do.
So what are your technical skills?
Technical skills. Okay. I can build a website in TypeScript and JavaScript and CSS. um, I feel like I should know these a lot better. I have worked on for hosting platforms and worked on servers and I feel like terminal, you can't really say terminal is a technical skill. It's now I'm just trying to think. APIs, setting up APIs. I used to do that. I don't know. I feel like I should know this a lot better because I always feel like I'm in a learning place that it's hard to say that they're my skills. So yes, TypeScript, Python, um, soon to be databases as I'm focusing now on more Postgres. Also, nope, that's not, it's kind of technical. Developing out a developer champions program for a nonprofit called Distributed, creating Discord servers. Now I'm just going for grabbing at straws trying to think of that.
And what content you create? I can see you have your own website.
Yeah, my website is jenjunod.com. It's my first name, last name.com. And it links to all three of the different pillars I have in my career of being a developer advocate at Aliven, being a live learning on Teach Gen Tech, and the podcast host. So and that is actually the second site that I've built. The first one I actually took down because I wanted to be able to combine all three to make it easier for others to understand each of the projects.
And the previous experiences that you have are related to technology.
I worked in technical sales for, I worked at a mobile company for 7 years as customer support and sales and led sales trainings or technical trainings for customers to like understand their smartphones when they first came out. And then I went into email and hosting sales and domain sales at a pretty well-known company called GoDaddy. And I was there for about 4.5 years. And then I decided to pivot into uh, videography. And I learned that cameras and I do not get along, and the editing process I can do. It's not my favorite. And then COVID hit. So, and that's been a big part of my journey has been, like when somebody asks me what is my technical stuff, a lot of times I may be able to figure it out, yet I get pulled for something else that's needed because I love puzzles. I'm a natural, just go after them and I'm like, I'll figure it out. So yes, I was hired to be able to learn videography and for editing and filming. Yet when COVID hit, I was the only one with account management experience and event planning and also being able to help run the team and also being able to help set up the website and running all of the breakout rooms and understanding Zoom to many different aspects of it. So I wasn't the one necessarily always doing the coding itself or the one setting up the full processes, but I had to know a bit about each of them to be able to manage it all. So there's times in my career where being a generalist really helped me also be able to help others succeed.
I can see a lot of your previous works are connected to communicating with human beings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So being in customer service for 7 years, and also yeah, like technical sales, and also in other job that you have done is also like interacting with people. So what you have understood doing a lot of communication.
yes, without meaning to. Maybe I should say that is one of my technical skills. Does that count? Communication as a technical skill? Because so many people say it's a soft skill, and I'm like, a lot of developers I know that are very, very technical don't always know how to communicate. It takes a few tries. So, yes, communication is something that I am extremely passionate about, and human connection, and seeing how to connect others. Like, if I know someone who is working on building 3D printing, I know of Ian, developer advocate from Postman, live streams that, and let me make an introduction. It's something that I love. In the back of my mind, I always remember what people do and what they may need. So when they post on Twitter or LinkedIn, I'm like, oh, I got a person for you. Now I just have to remember to tell you about it. It's definitely something that it's also a skill to be able to break down very, very complex items into something that is consumable. So I remember when I had somebody first come on to talk about another database system, Kafka, and we were coming up with some fun analogies to try to get it to sink in, same as while I've been working through TypeScript. I've called TypeScript is like when you get handed the coffee is what JavaScript is that happens on the other side. And TypeScript, when you're building it, is like the barista behind the scenes making the coffee. So it's a technical skill being able to break stuff down.
So with podcast, what you have done?
With the podcast,
Yeah.
in what aspect?
I mean, what effect you created, what impact you created with your podcast?
Yeah, the impact I've created on that is being able there I've always had a knack for being able to get people to open up very, very easily without meaning to. Um, I may go to the grocery store or to the market and walk away knowing someone's life story and never knowing their name. It happens a lot, and I don't know why. I don't hate it. I love it. It's something I've always loved. And doing the podcast was a way of showing others how sharing those conversations can make us not feel isolated. That a lot of that has to come, and I can't say for sure, but I feel like one of the biggest reasons I'm so passionate about that is I did spend many years locked in my room by myself as without like a little potty. And as solitary confinement. Like I may be able to come out for food. If not, I'd get my food in my room. And I'm an only child. It was something that all I ever wanted was to have a friend, have someone else that might understand what I'm going through. And it also really taught me I never ever want someone else to go through that and feel so alone. That's the impact that the podcast has had. People have been able to come on the show and just share their stories for the first time. I had an alcoholic that came on. She's no longer an alcoholic, and she's like, I've never shared my full story. And she had her husband on the show with her. I had a human on the show come on that talked about intersectionality, which I feel is so prevalent in, especially in the United States, of a lot of people who come to the States may have, like, we all have different aspects of ourselves, and we all have intersections. Like, I'm EQ and IQ. That is an intersection. My shows intersect. They're a part of me. And one part that she really talked about, that they really talked about, was having to code switch. And she's from Puerto Rico, which she does have a very Puerto Rican accent. And when they were talking about it, they were having to change it to sound more white. And trying to explain that to someone that doesn't understand different dialects or different parts of, even in the US, have very different languages and accents, and it doesn't make somebody dumber or smarter based on it just because they may be able to talk like they're from a law firm. It Having that episode has let a lot of people understand something that can be so foreign. And the same goes from when I've had people on the show and they've talked about death, which is a scary thing to talk about. Nobody wants to think about that. Yet we have to think about, what do we do if we randomly die? How is our family going to take care of things? Or if our partner dies, how are we going to move on? And this was right before I really started working on the new show. Some of the last episodes were Pride for the LGBTQ plus community in here in Colorado was the end of June last year. And I met people that came on the show that talked about their experiences of not being able to come out or be who they are because of the pressures from their family and how it's affected them very differently. And then I did try to pick up the podcast again. It is my goal now that I have a job to be able to pay editors now. The last person I believe the show was on was Wesley Faulkner, who is a developer advocate as well, and he talks about his journey of being neurodivergent and being a Black man in tech and how that's impacted him. And when people hear other people's stories and realize we're not alone, it impacts us to keep going and not give up. And that is the very long explanation of what the podcast has impacted.
And what are your qualities that are working for you to make things happen?
The qualities for me that make things happen. I am very awesome at multitasking and going 100 miles per hour. Yet, I also have a downfall of getting burnt out very easily. Burnout may not be the best way of saying it. I have, with something that I didn't say earlier, is when I say neurodivergent, a lot of times that means something, can mean a little something different for everyone. A lot of times it will mean like someone may have a mental illness or a mental challenge, like ADHD, dyslexia. I'll just name mine. I have ADHD, dyslexia, PTSD, depression, anxiety, and bipolar type 2. So what works for me is acknowledging these and going, okay, cool. I know that I will have a hyper focus that could last me 3 days, and I'm going to get more done in those 3 days than I have all month. And then I'm going to barely be able to get off the couch for like a week. And it's really hard and it's really frustrating. Yet acknowledging it and telling people about it and working through it has given me the most freedom and has allowed me to give my best. And having these open conversations is really scary and not always welcome. Like, I've had jobs where I didn't get to do all of this. Yet being able to go, okay, I'm not great at always being at my desk during daytime hours. Not great at it. Yet I will have Slack. people want to reach out, I will be there because I may work from 5 a.m. to like 10, but I'll be back and I'll probably work weekends and I'll work in the evening because that's my personality. Where, and being able to tell people and set those expectations made me the best quality person I can be. Where the rest of the team is very different. Some of them are only 9 to 5, not going to move out of that. That is it. And perfectly fine because they learned what works best for them.
And what kind of technical projects that you have done?
Let's see. I have done, I feel like I should look at my GitHub. I have technical projects I've worked on. A lot of them have been setting up for the first time, like a few React web apps. I've set up Square with a React wrapper, Square API with a React app wrapper. Goodness gracious. Um, Working on setting up managed databases like uh, MySQLite with Prisma, being able to manage a lot of it has been, as I said, just very starts of things because a lot of it was finding out what I wanted to do. And that was one of the beauties of Teach Gen Tech was just seeing, hey, let me figure out what's out there. Because everybody kept asking, what do you want to do? I don't know. I don't know what's out there. And now that I've found data infrastructure working on Postgres right now, I am so excited. It is fun. It is frustrating. It is fun though, because it's like I'm finally seeing what's behind the scenes of being able to conceptualize and use the data that we process and how it goes into websites. That I am currently building out my website and I will be putting a Postgres database into it as well to manage all of my episodes.
Uh, there are different professionals in you. A person who understands the psychological thing, uh, and a person who understands how things works inside the computer or how the software works or
Mm-hmm.
how to build a software. And apart from that, you're also interacting and having conversations with different human beings and trying to know their stories and trying to put there and trying to know what they are going through. And the previous experiences, the work experiences that you had is uh, uh, customer support and trying to explain them how technical things can help them as human beings. So, how do you define different professionals in you?
Hmm. How do I define like what different professions I do or
No, because you have knowledge on different things. The emotional
Mhm.
thing, which comes under psychological thing, and a technical thing, which is Python, and all other things which are connected to computer and how uh, things can work in computer. So, which is technical thing, which is a non-living thing,
Mhm.
and also you have a great story telling ability. So all different aspects of yours, different aspects in you. How do you define this in whole?
How do I define it in whole? Thank you for repeating. Hmm. I'm still working on defining that. I feel like the closest I've found to defining it is developer advocate because I get to do the technical stuff and I can go very deep and keep learning and I get really excited and it's a bunch of puzzles and I still can make an impact by sharing the knowledge and making that human connection. So for me, developer advocate is the closest, yet it doesn't encompass all of it. And I almost think that's the beauty of it. I don't know if I would ever want just one thing to define me. It's like we talked about earlier, the intersectionality of it. It is, we are all so many different parts and different dimensions that I would say I'm Jen. I am a human connector. We'll go with that.
Awesome. So, so what you understood in this whole experience of yours, communicating with computer and communicating with human being, what is the difference?
Ooh. Hmm. I would say that computers are said to be logical, yet I am a pro at finding intermittent issues that are not logical. I'm great at finding bugs. Like if somebody wants me to test something and click around, I am a wonderful bug identifier, not realizing that's a bug and why it's not working. Yet they are, at the end of the day, something that can, no matter how long it takes, something that can normally be solved. Computer connection and human connection are still very, very similar in the fact that they are ever evolving, like AI. Now that we have AI and so much in crypto, and so are humans, uh, which I think is one of the most amazing parts that is not something computer connection can do yet. Is yes, I could see like there are programs and things that can in computers that can learn how to correct their mistakes, or new chat GPT can make its own app and it'll be beautiful and it can learn from its mistakes. Yet humans have these memories and feelings that are not always logical. We don't always know why we're acting a certain way or why we're treating this human differently than this human, or why we're attracted to who we're attracted to. And having that curiosity can almost open up those doors to be able to find out more. Yet many humans are very, very guarded. And it's like we don't have someone that's going to be patient enough to help us find the bugs and fix them. It's something we have to do ourselves, or many people find in their relationships, or it is also something that in computer connections, if I do not have my language library, I probably won't work. Where in my human connections, I'm not talking to my dad anymore because that was very toxic. I could get rid of bad things. You can't always get rid of bad things as easily if it's something that is required to make it work, where it came from. They're very similar and very different at the same time. I would say that emotion is such a powerful connector that whether it be positive or negative emotion, laughter or crying, it's seeing ourselves in one another that connect us.
And what kind of advices you can give to the AI specialist?
To the AI specialists, I would say I would want them to. It's so weird. I feel like it's such a taboo topic of like AI right now. Yet I've I've always thought about it from like a really young age of like what I always wanted to have a robot that had feelings so I could have a friend. So yet there's a scary movie that came out recently about a doll that is going to try to kill its mother, the kid's mother. It's terrifying. I hate scary movies. Um, I would say to AI people is how would they get to know a human? Can the AI that they're creating, can a human get to know the AI? And can the AI make their own decisions that way and bring back memories from however long ago?
And the quality of yours is bug identifying thing. So do you do any practice in order to have this quality?
For debugging,
No, identifying the bugs.
identifying the bugs. Um, well, when I'm working on other people's projects, a lot of time it is just clicking everything to see if something does it. It's a lot of that curiosity is, hey, does this work? Oh, no, it doesn't. That didn't work. Or when people don't, I have a bad problem. Something that people on my followers on Teach Gen Tech, I have a bad habit of clicking stuff before always reading through things, which is okay. You know, some people learn like that. I learned from discovering and then figuring out it doesn't work. Yet clicking ahead a lot of times can make someone find out the program doesn't work because they're not in the software. They are not like involved in the creation going, oh, you're going to go step 1 to step 2 because it's clearly apparent. Well, when I look at something, many times I want to go from step 1 to maybe step 7, probably to step 23, and then I'll go back to step 2. That's the way my brain works. And having others test and find bugs and going through that is a way of seeing how other people think of things rather than just being so deep and attached to the project when we're blinded by it.
And what do you think about technology products and technology services? How it is helping humans and solving human problems?
Hmm. I would say that we have a lot of tools out there, either products or services that many companies say this of like, there's too many tools. We don't know what we want to do. Yet many of these tools can help us succeed, such as some tools I use of I take notes on my iPad. It's something that I recently started doing. It's a tool that I learned makes it easier for me to take notes, and it makes it easier for others to understand what I'm talking about because I can take my handwriting and send it as an email in regularly typed font. And yet there's a learning curve that I think many that didn't grow up in tech are having a really hard time with because we are getting so many tools that can do fantastic things, but we don't always understand the base knowledge needed. So if somebody was like, yo, Jen, go build a React web app, I don't know what React is. I don't know what JavaScript is. If I don't know what a web app is, those are all base knowledges that if I were just to go do it, it would be very, very difficult. Yet if I was somebody that knew JavaScript, that would be way easier because the base knowledge. And this is where I think somewhat controversial, but things like ChatGPT can really help us level the playing field of some of the base knowledge needed for these other technical tools and services. And I would say one thing that I absolutely am so grateful for the way technology has evolved is it is slowly starting to become more accessible. It's not yet. It's not available all over. There are so many places that need way more than just technology, but we're getting there, and technology is what's helping us. And that is going to change the world for good.
And at last, what do you say about your work and your contribution to the planet?
One more time? Sorry.
Uh, at last, what do you say about your work and about your contribution to the planet?
My work and my contribution. Oh, I would say my work and my contribution and my goal, outside of just saying human connection, is to help others and myself, because I can't do it if I don't do it myself, feel secure in themselves so that way they are open to others. Because if we're not comfortable with who we are and feel secure with who we are and have what's needed to just survive, we're not going to be open to all of these ideas and be able to help others. And if we don't continue to have these conversations and help come from a curious mind, we're not going to change anybody's opinions either. And that is my contribution to the world of using myself and bus chucking myself to have these fun, awkward conversations that others can listen to and also have me ask the questions if they don't feel like it or too scared to.
And what is your observation about my work?
Oh, I said that earlier. I love your work because it's just I get so excited that you get to talk to so many different people. And I'm really sad. I'm going back over here. I had it up and I you talked to Grace Lemon, and I didn't see that until afterwards, like until we were about to record. And I was like, I wish I watched that one because I want to know more about that. I was like, that's so cool. I love that you talk to so many different people because I am starting to see that like you have someone from Australia. So it's not just like people around you, it's also people all over the world. It's people that I can only imagine have very different career paths. They also have very different life paths and have been many different ages. And you're sharing that with a world that is making that impact, that is making us go, oh, damn, that is really cool. I had no idea. And to me, that's such an incredible impact to have on the world. And I'm grateful you do the work you do.
And you have a lot of experience in talking with different human beings because you have done that a lot in your life. Uh, and also with with some of your experience, you have understood about the sensibility and the sensible things, the emotional aspect of human being as well, apart from how technology or the software product being developed, or what are the tools that have been used. So you're like combination of human and technology.
I'm the first AI. I didn't tell you that though. That's the secret.
That's why I asked you the question, what kind of advice you can give to AI specialist, and you gave. So, as a person who is into both, in both communication systems, uh, uh, watching my work, I did masters in software engineering, bachelor's in computer science and engineering. Right now, I'm DevOps engineer. That's my full-time role. Apart from that, I'm talking with experts like you who are solving different problems and who are uh, handling different projects and communicating with different people and trying to create some energy, trying to put out some content and trying to put some point of views or the conversations that they're having. So, uh, how this whole experience talking with different people are going to helpful for me if I work in IT in coming days.
I would say that, and to make sure you're curious how talking to so many different people will help you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think just, and this is something that I want to relate to anybody that's like, hey, I want to go start this project, but XYZ person has already started it. People are going to relate to you very differently than they relate to me. You come from a very technical background. Whether I like it or not, I can skill up my technical side, yet people may almost always associate me with communication. And so you may have a greater impact with someone than I do. That being said, talking to all of these different people and showcasing it builds someone's network. And one of the biggest things that we can do is build our networks. I'm not saying like we need to go hit up everybody on LinkedIn and just be like, hi. Yeah, no. Please don't do that, everyone. Please actually curate a message. It's wonderful. That being said, when we build our networks, and that's just even if you're like, hey, you look like a really cool human. Can we have a coffee chat? Or just following other people. This type of work that you're doing will bring awareness to who you are and what you care about because you're showcasing what everybody else is and you're the one asking the questions. You're gearing the conversation. And for example, if I've been a hiring manager before, and if I were to look you up and be like, okay, cool, I'm probably not going to go look through all of the videos, but I'll go, okay, let me look at the very first one. And then let me look up like maybe like 4 ago to see how has the show progressed? How has your questions progressed? How is your comfortability, whatever that word, uh, because those are all things that you can't do with a technical assessment. There are things that you have to be able to see or people ask by interviews. And it's such a great way to show the other side because technology also has communication and empathy and needs all of that to work. Because if we don't have that to work, then our teams won't succeed. And you're showcasing that. And I love that you're doing it because it's like, it answers my curiosity about so many other different people, yet at the same time, it gives you a starting point for anywhere you want to go. But then also if you are like, yo, Jen, this person you're connected to, they look really cool. Can we be friends? I'd be like, yes, let me introduce you. This was really cool. Because I can be like, hey, Ramon, we'll go with my friend Ramon. Ramon, you should totally be on the show. Look at my episode. It gives people a way to also showcase you and build trust throughout as like a ripple effect. So I love that you're doing it. I truly see that it will definitely help your career.
So it's extremely valuable for me, your observation and your words, and because you have so much experience in doing a lot of work in your life. So can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Yes, you can. And you can totally tell everyone I was very nervous because you had a lot of experts on there. And I was like, okay. I was nervous.
And can I also put this audio and video clip on my podcast website, internet, social media, everywhere with your permission?
Have fun. Go for it. Yes.
And can you share your social presence to my podcast listeners so that they can see the work that you're doing, can learn from you?
Yeah. My how to reach out to me is at jennjunod.com. That is JENNJUNOD.com. That has links to everything. You can also find me on Twitter and LinkedIn, same name, and Twitch, also same name. YouTube, on the other hand, does not want to be my friend. It is Teach Jen Tech. So that's Jen with 2 N's. You can find me on YouTube there. And I look forward to connecting. And please ask questions. I like going and finding things out to answer people's questions.
and especially what you teach in tech.
What I teach in tech. Oh, goodness. Right now we are very, very focused on Python, TypeScript, and data infrastructure. So while I'm learning Postgres, I also have someone coming on the show that is teaching about the bare basics of data. Like, what is data? Going from a computer. And for those who may get this reference, we were talking about to conceptualize data, we were talking about CDs and the Spice Girls. And that was our very serious conversation to be able to understand data, talking about a band from like girls band from the UK in the 90s. It was interesting. But those are the main things we're focusing on. There is also some API work that we'll be doing with the bare basics of APIs. This is one thing that I love about the show is we do a lot of very complex things and very bare basics. So if anyone has any ideas or wants to be a guest, please let me know.
So I'll put your links in the description of this video. People who finds our video on YouTube can see it, and also I'll put on the screen as well.
Yay!
They can see the whole video, your work, and definitely, I believe your work reaches large audience in the world.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited.